Thank you for watching 30 Minutes. I'm your host, Daniel Lefkowitz. Today is going to be part 2 of living with coyotes and other wild animals in Yorktown. My guests today are Kevin Clark from Region 3 DEC, Fred Coons, who's the Executive Director at the Teatown Lake Reservation, and James Waterhouse, who is the Animal Control Officer of the town of Yorktown. Thank you for coming on again. Today we're going to talk about raccoons. Okay. What is a raccoon?
Go ahead, Kevin.
What is a raccoon? A raccoon is a smaller, I guess you could call it a predator, although I think they're more omnivores than anything else. They eat a variety of things. They're egg nest predators, and they eat berries and small mammals, and they're a common species in urban situations, and probably one of the most common species that people see in urban situations, from Westchester to the Bronx to Long Island, and they're occurring everywhere in New York State.
Absolutely. They're a carnivore.
Yes.
And as Kevin said, they have a wide range of things they eat. But usually you find them near bodies of water, streams. They seem to like, they have a fondness for crayfish, of all things, and they will even catch fish. And so they're what we call a mid-sized carnivore. Matter of fact, as top predators move out of an ecosystem, like wolves and coyotes, the raccoons will increase in population because the top predators, again, like coyotes and wolves, they'll keep the population of raccoons at lower numbers because they eat them. So we have a lot of raccoons, as Kevin said, in urban and suburban areas because we don't have many top predators anymore.
I would assume a raccoon is a pretty vicious animal.
If you corner one, it could be.
Right, so if a coyote corners a raccoon has very sharp claws.
Well, let's put it this way. Our average size of coyotes is 30 to 40 pounds, and raccoons in the northern end of their range have gotten up to 40 pounds. So I would think that they would be a formidable foe. You know, I think they could fight back rather well and hold their own even against a coyote.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably the younger raccoons that the coyotes are able to
Right.
kill. But yeah, raccoons can be very formidable. And in many ways, you're much more likely, I think, to have an incident with a raccoon than, say, a coyote in northern Westchester, because they hang out closer to your houses because they like to get in your garbage can, you know, and you're going to be going out one night to add something to that garbage can you forgot, and then suddenly there's going to be a raccoon staring at you. Yep. And so that's going to be a bigger problem. They'll den under your deck.
In your garage.
In your garage.
In your
I'm sure
attic.
James probably gets
So
raccoon
what do you do,
calls.
James?
Absolutely. It's it's tough because raccoons can get a lot of different diseases, and from worms to rabies to distemper. So a lot of times people see raccoons and maybe acting a little bit strange to them, and those are a lot of the issues that we get. Most people usually wake up in the morning to a scattered garbage pail in their front yard, courtesy of a raccoon. If the people would just put a lockable lid on the garbage can, those problems can usually be avoided.
And what do you do if you see a raccoon staring right at you? Do you assume that it's rabid?
A lot of calls we get a lot of calls for a raccoon that is in somebody's yard in the middle of the day. Raccoons, especially this time of year when they have young, will go out at all sorts of times to go out and feed. Just like everything else that lives and breathes, we need food, and we will do whatever we have to do to meet those needs. So if it's rummaging through your garbage pail at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so be it. That's what a raccoon will do. The raccoons will adapt. They know when you'll put your food, if you feed your outdoor cat, you may put food out on your deck. You're bringing in raccoons. In turn, you're putting your cat in danger by having that interaction. My suggestion with that would be that when the sun goes down, bring the food in. Bring the cat in also would be ideal, but to each his own.
Yeah.
Do they come in different colors?
I've never seen any color variations other than the traditional gray, dark, brownish, and
With the black?
Black
the
mask.
typical mask on the eye that gives them that
ring-tailed.
thief-like look.
There have been reports, not any I know locally, of albino raccoons. So occasionally there'll be an albino
Yeah, that's
raccoon.
true. Actually, I have seen a picture of an albino raccoon in New York, and they look very different. It's weird. When you see an albino animal, not a typical coloration. I saw an albino skunk one time, and I didn't even know what it was. They look so different.
You know, most of us have heard the story about raccoons washing their food. Probably isn't true. Sadly, it's a wonderful story.
I like to think they're a clean species.
Right, you like to think that. But their hands are adapted, they're very, very sensitive. And actually, when they catch crayfish, for example, they'll stick their hands in the water, and they really can't see, and they can actually feel the crayfish and grab it. Now, in captivity, they'll kind of, out of boredom, play with their food and water. But as far as I know, no one's ever observed a raccoon washing its food out in the wild. So if you see that, give me a call at T-Town, because I'd love to hear it. But they do like to spend time around water, and that's probably what led to the stories.
Do people keep raccoons as pets?
I would bet they do. I think people keep a lot of things as pets that we're not aware of. Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they do, and it really isn't a good idea. When they're little, they kind of make a cute, adorable animal. But again, like any wild animal, you know, they haven't been domesticated, and especially once they hit puberty and become adults, they can get quite vicious and territorial, and many people that try to raise them as pets end up getting bitten very badly when they get to be older. And the real problem is they might get a little bite, and then they let the raccoon go. And now it's sort of this strange raccoon that's somewhat friendly with people and somewhat aggressive towards people. And then you can have a real serious problem that, you know, James would get a call and it would be a very serious problem. So no, you don't want to keep a raccoon as a pet ever.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems that we have with a lot of wildlife species in New York is animals that were taken into captivity, ones that people felt were in distress, and they take it in and they raise it. And now this animal, whether it be a raccoon or a deer or a skunk, it views people as one of its kind. And animals are very aggressive towards each other. So anytime we habituate people towards, or animals towards people, and we put them in the situation where they see us as one of them, I think we're just setting ourselves up for problems.
James, so what do you do if you see a raccoon that you think is rabid or vicious?
It really depends. A lot of the calls we get are misinterpretations of what's actually going on out in somebody's front yard. Again, we have people that call 911 to say that there's a raccoon walking through their yard. You know, typically if it's not just, if it's eating your garbage at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's nothing wrong with it. But if it's walking around in circles in your front yard, if it's, you know, exhibiting certain behaviors, then we will take action and deal with that issue.
And what action would that be?
Euthanizing the animal, more than likely. We do deal with, you know, rehabilitators that we like to, you know, consult with and explain certain instances, because everything is always different. No situation is the same. So it's nice to have those people to reach out to and say, you know, hey, listen, this is what I got. And a lot of times people can say that, you know, the baby was left there, mom's out foraging for food, leave it there. A couple hours later, sure enough, the animal's gone.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to understand that there is no rehabilitating a rabid animal.
Yeah.
You know, once an animal gets rabies, it's got a death sentence, essentially. And, you know, one of my fears is that people want so badly to be able to help animals, and they'll go out and handle them. And you have to understand that mammals, just about every mammal species can contract rabies and transmit rabies. And we should be very careful, especially with raccoons. If you see a sick one, I would just stay away from it. The other important thing is if you do come into contact with an animal that you think is rabid, you can call your local PD and have an animal control officer come out. They can dispatch it. But I would also, if there was any contact with humans, it's essential that they contact your local Department of Health. Whatever county it is, whether it's Westchester or Orange County, contact your county Department of Health and have that animal submitted and tested for rabies, and have the appropriate actions taken for the person that had contact.